Greetings YouTube, my name is Jahaira de la Espada, formerly and currently known as Curly Catalyst. Look, I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. Coronavirus is here and we are all learning how to face the challenges as they present themselves. Luckily for me, I had a big to-do list that my clocking in from 9 to 5 was not allowing me to complete. And now, here we are, completing the to-do list. Last summer, I was awarded a Fulbright scholarship to do research in Tanzania. I studied the Kiswahili language and culture at the University of Dar es Salaam, and I had the opportunity to speak to an all-girls high school. Now, the man who invited me to the school only wanted me to teach an English lesson. And I said, I can't be going all the way around the world and not speak on things that are on my heart. So I had to get a little crafty. Here you will hear my message to the young women about the current state of affairs in Puerto Rico. My name is, right here, my name is Señora de la Espada. In Spanish we say Señora, but it means madam or miss or mama, same thing, okay? So, Señora de la Espada. Now, I believe you all are standard 3, yes? All right, so today I'm going to teach you a lesson, a very different kind of lesson. So, in the United States, when we are teaching English, we are usually teaching something else with English. So maybe we teach history in English, we teach science in English, or we teach civics in English, okay? So you're going to get 2 lessons today. Now, you all have something to take notes with? Yes. Okay, please get that out. Get your notebooks and your pen. Somebody that I've been learning about that I hope that you all know so much about is Julius Nyereres. Raise your hand if you know Julius Nyereres. Just one person? 2 people? All of us, so everybody should be raising their hand. Raise your hand if you know who Julius Nyereres is. Nyereres, excuse me. Okay, so Julius Nyereres, he believed in art, academics, and activism. Nyereres was a teacher. Am I correct? Yes. He was a teacher. This is very important to a teacher like me because in America, we don't have teachers that lead big countries. Your independence was through Nyereres, correct? Yes. Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad that you all are understanding me. And he did it without bloodshed. That means that he did it without big war. And they're usually fighting for resources, yes? So maybe they're fighting for gold, for oil, or for the people themselves, okay? So, raise your hand if you know where the Caribbean is. The Caribbean. Caribbean, no? Okay. Raise your hand if you know where Puerto Rico is. Raise your hand, no? Okay. Today I'm going to tell you about Puerto Rico. And with our lesson about Puerto Rico, I'm going to keep it together with our present tense. So something else that you can write is present tense on your paper. Present tense. This is Puerto Rico. It's a small island, okay? Like Mbuja. Mbuja is a small island, yes? Puerto Rico is also a small island, but it is a very strong island, okay? This is where my mother is from. My mother is from Puerto Rico, okay? Now, Puerto Rico is considered part of the United States of America, and I'll get into that a little bit later, okay? So, most of us on the island, present day, this is how we're going to tie it into present tense, okay? Present day, as of today, Puerto Rico is being colonized by the United States of America, okay? And I would do a huge disservice if I didn't tell you what was going on in my country right now, okay? So Puerto Rico, a long time ago, was colonized by Spain. Raise your hand if you know where Spain is. No? Okay, so Spain is in Europe, right next to Great Britain, right next to France. Some of the people that also had a hand in colonizing Tanzania, correct? So Puerto Rico was colonized by the Spanish. And in 1898, the year 1898, we had what we call just like Saba Saba is a really big festival, he led the slave rebellion during one of our biggest festivals. Now, unfortunately, his rebellion wasn't successful, okay? It wasn't successful. Somebody, another enslaved African person, told the mayor what was happening. So he ratted him out, is what we say in the United States. He ratted him out. So from this point, the Spanish-American War happens in 1898, okay? Which is very important because Mwalimu, he didn't have war to gain the independence of Tanzania. Am I correct? Was there war in this country?
No.
There was no war. Okay, Puerto Rico had a war. The Spanish had a war. The United States has been in many wars. And a lot of people died during wars. Okay, so after the Spanish-American War, from that point, the Spanish lost. They lost the war, which means that many territories came to the United States. So you have the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico. They all became part of the American government, okay? And up to this day, present tense, it is the same thing. So, from this point, Marcos Lloro is no longer. The Spanish-American War has ended, and the Americans have taken over Puerto Rico. Now you have Pedro Albizu Campos. I'm going to show you a picture of him. Pedro Albizu Campos.
Pedro Albizu Campos.
Pedro Albizu Campos.
Pedro Albizu Campos.
Okay, so from this point, the Americans had owned Puerto Rico, but people were not just sitting down doing nothing. They were continuing to fight for their independence, okay? And Pedro Albizu Campos, he led a major revolution in our country. He was a lawyer, he was a teacher, and he was a politician. His mother was an enslaved woman, and his father was a farmer, okay? And he went to some of the best schools in the nation. And Pedro Albizu Campos, because he spoke up, remember that word, speak up? Remember that from earlier, speak up?
Yeah.
Because he spoke up, the American government took him and imprisoned him. And because of this, he was chemically tortured. Okay? I'm going to give you the exact name of it. Total body irradiation. Because of this, because of the total body irradiation that he had to go through, he ended up dying. Okay? He was Mwalimu. And he was not, he didn't see the revolution happen. He didn't see independence. Because up to today, Puerto Rico is still under the American flag. Okay? Another name, Celestina, I'm going to tell you about her. She was our first actual teacher of Puerto Rico. So, Celestina Cordero was an African slave. She came from West Africa. She was an actual slave. Pedro Albizu Campos was not a slave. Celestina was. She was an enslaved person. And she was the first woman, black woman, to make a school in Puerto Rico. She created the first school in Puerto Rico, Celestina Cordero. Now, we don't know a lot about her life, because back then, as it is now in some places, if you are a woman, you are supposed to sit down and do nothing. But she said, no, I have my freedom. She bought her freedom. She bought her freedom. She bought her freedom. And then she opened up a school. Okay? Very important. She was our Mwalimu. The same spirit as your Mwalimu. Okay? That was the history lesson. Okay? So you could write history right there. I'm going to tell you about the present day, present tense of Puerto Rico. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, 1898. Now we're in 2019. Almost a century later, we are still fighting for our independence in our country, in Puerto Rico, what is called American imperialism. Everybody say imperialism.
Imperialism.
Imperialism. Now, imperialism is like colonization. However, it's present day. Colonization was in the past. Today, we have imperialism. So what does that mean? Puerto Rico is a beautiful, beautiful island. lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of big trees, and there's lots of beautiful people in Puerto Rico. So right now, what we have is a lot of big businesses like China Aid, although it's not China Aid. We have big businesses that are coming to the country and they're tearing down all of the beautiful fruits and trees, and they're taking away all of the homes of the beautiful people and calling it their own. Okay? Because of this, there are a lot of people that have been displaced. Okay? Let's say this word. Write this word down. What do you think that word means? Displaced. There's no right or wrong answer. If you want to think about something and say it, displaced. What do you think that word means? Yes, ma'am? I'm trying. Okay?
I just tried.
Okay. What do you think it means?
Displaced means like you take the land of someone to be wrong.
What is your name, sister? Petronella? That is the right answer. Everybody, let's clap for her. Come on. Petronella was right. And if she didn't say the right answer, I would still say clap for her. Because it's very important to speak back and to speak up. Your education is not just somebody standing here telling you something. Your education is yours as well. That's how we teach in the United States. So Petronella is correct. Displaced means when somebody takes the land of somebody else. Okay? And then they have to move away. They have to move somewhere else. Okay? So the people of Puerto Rico have been displaced, meaning that the people of Puerto Rico can no longer live on the island. They have to move somewhere else. Okay? And because of this, who remains on the island? Who do you think has to stay on the island? So usually what happens when people are displaced is the people that have money, they can leave, right? If I have money, I don't gotta stay here and put up with this. I'm gonna take my family down the road and we're gonna move somewhere else. But for the people that don't have the money, they have to stay there, right? Okay. So the people that stayed in Puerto Rico are the people that don't have the opportunity to leave. Okay, either financially, or maybe they have a sick grandmother that they have to stay on the island, right? That happens everywhere, not just in Puerto Rico. So the people We are hurting, and we are fighting. We are in a war. They say that we don't deserve to have freedom. I wish I could have met Mwalimu so I could ask him, how'd you do it here in Tanzania? How did you unify the people? My hope today is that you walk away from this understanding that you have a choice. Okay? Part of the education in the United States is that we try to teach our students that they are more than just a student. You are more than just student. You are more than just someone learning English or sewing or French. You are someone that can make a difference in your society. Start with your neighbor. Maybe your neighbor needs help. Okay? Maybe Puerto Rico is so far away you may think, what is this woman talking about? I don't even know where Puerto Rico is. That may be true. But you know where Sudan is. You know where Palestine is, right? You know where South Africa is, right? Okay. And what I'm saying is that the world still needs your help. Mwalimu may not be president anymore. You may have Magafuli, and you have however you feel about him. But even if Magafuli doesn't say, go over there and help those people, you don't have to wait for Magafuli to tell you to go help somebody. So there you have it, my take on Puerto Rico and its current state. I don't know if I did a good job, but I did the best job that I could with the limited knowledge that I had at the time. And the teaching style is a bit different than what I'm used to here in the States. The world is ever changing, especially with this global pandemic that we are finding ourselves in. My daily work is to raise the critical thinking skills and imagination levels of our youth. I'm always trying to get better at helping to facilitate learning, and should you have any tips or constructive criticism to give me, please comment below. And next week, I'll be starting back up my circle time video, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, hug somebody that you love, and always remember to walk in peace and abundance. See you around.